Hello and welcome to the on-record portion of the Rockbridge Report. I'm Alex Maragos, and joining me today is Councilwoman Mary Harvey-Helseth of Lexington City Council. Thanks very much for joining me.
So glad to be here, Alex. Thanks.
My first question is, this time of year, it's always budget season for City Council.
Yes.
And can you talk a little bit about some of the debate you expect this year with the upcoming fiscal season?
I believe that we have a pretty significant shortfall in the school budget, and we'll be discussing that and what are the best ways that the school superintendent can look at his budget. We don't really tell him what to do, but there are ways that we can look at it and maybe come to a consensus of opinion and pass that on to him. We have a good thing that's happened this year. We didn't have a lot of snowfall, so the money that comes from VDOT to Lexington for snow removal we only used twice, and of course it is only March, what is today, 14, 13. We might have another snow, but that not happening, we will be able to use that money for repairs on the roads. So that's a good thing. The other one is the nonprofits. We have quite a few nonprofits that we give to. There are some that are required by the state, so we have no play. We have no areas that we can work on. Others, I know that a couple of council people have come up with some ideas, maybe across the board cuts of 5%, and then, but that doesn't help the ones that don't ask for very much. That cuts them a lot. So we're going to have to really be careful with our nonprofit requests and which ones can help themselves, which ones can possibly, like, you know, Fine Arts and Rockbridge, can they, for instance, raise rates somewhere to shortfall on where we are going to have to give to them. Our budget right now is very tight, and don't expect it to get any better anytime soon. So,
and I think many Lexington residents are aware about how tight the budget is going to be this year. Has the city manager or the treasurer told you anything to prepare you for framing and budget creation? Just any steps to take to make the best decision going forward?
No, they haven't presented us with the budget yet. In fact, we just turned in our notebooks from last year, so we'll get them at the end of this month. So I expect the direction will come then. We've had just some conversations. One thing that another council person wants to look at is salaries. I personally don't think that there's any leeway at all on salaries. I don't think we can cut at all, nor benefits. So I personally would like them to stay where they are. I know that we probably can't give any raises. Wish we could. But I believe the direction will come when we get the budget and when we get the city manager's memo that Friday, and he'll have his outline of what he's looking for. Monty Higgins is our city accountant, or, you know, money person. I call him the money man. And he usually has some suggestions too that the city manager will then pass on to us. And we haven't received anything yet.
Now, are there any specific programs or departments that you are going to personally defend against the threat of budget slight cuts or just total elimination?
Again, that would go back to the nonprofits. I don't see any that could be cut. I do see that if they could help us by, again, raising a rate. For instance, Rockbridge RAOC, Rockbridge Area Occupational Center, has a program in place where they will, this is help for people with disabilities. And they have a program that they can call, a homeowner can call and say, I need help in my garden. And a manager plus a person with disabilities will come to your house for a minimum amount of an hourly fee, much less than what you would have to pay someone in the profession. That helps the city because they're going out and engaging in actual work, where we could say, okay, if they work, you know, 50 hours this year at a rate of $15 an hour, maybe we could cut their request by that much if we could say, come help yourself. Limekiln's another one. Limekiln gets a certain amount of money from us every year. It's usually through a grant through the state. If the state cuts it, we're going to have to cut our part. We can't make that up. The other one that I really would like to see some money come, I've made a request for, is the skate park. The skate park, which was originally built 14 years ago, and it's been shut down. It's in total disrepair. I'm actively working with Physical Services Committee with Marilyn Alexander, who's the chair, on writing grants and trying to get donations. It's a slow process because everyone's asking for money, but my focus is the youth. There are kids that use this, they're off the streets, they're actively engaged in a sport, and I think it's important. So.
Now switching over to another issue, I think it's safe to say that downtown Lexington 5 years from now is going to look very different than it did 5 years ago or 10 years ago. You have the Arley Hotel project, the new Cornerstone Bank building, the old bank building, just all on Main Street.
The Arley Hotel is going to be changed. Yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about how important the downtown area is to the city of Lexington?
It's very important. That's something that Bob Lear and I did before I was on council. I don't even know if he was on council at that point, and I made him walk downtown. And we took a notebook, and I said, I don't want you to look at any storefronts. I want you to look up. And we looked at gutters, and we looked at peeling paint, and we looked at bricks that are about to fall out. There is a significant amount of disrepair on some buildings. There is renowned a building that has a tree growing out of the roof. I would like to see the owners step up and do something with those downtown buildings. As far as any projects with sidewalks, with buried cables, we already have the cables buried. I know that Nelson Street will be repaved, where Rena will put in their lines, and we'll save and repave that. Right now it's a mess, but that's not gonna last forever. So please, people, be a little patient with Rena. But yeah, I think downtown, the few blocks downtown are very important. Walkability is important. Who knows, someone might even get a Segway and we need to fix those sidewalks up for them. So yeah, it's important.
Now recently City Council was presented with a plan that talked about trends in tourism in Lexington and Rockbridge County. Can you talk a little bit about what you heard from John Martin about the data he presented?
Interesting. One of the main things that people come to town for is the history. And I think we really need to be careful and protect that history, the historic monuments that they go to, the churches, the chapels, the buildings. It seems that everybody says, oh, it's really not that important. It is. The people that I meet on the street, they love to go to Lee Chapel. They think it's just absolutely picturesque. It is picturesque. It's gorgeous. And the history has a lot to do with it too. Our history is centered on one little focus, but there's a lot more. There's architecture that you could look at. There's McCormick that was here. There were the Houstons that were here. So it transcends even just that one period of 4 or 5 years of the Civil War. There's a lot more here, and I think we should really take advantage of that. And that's what I learned from him is, no, we're not crazy. It really is about the history. So that was a great amount of information that I thought he brought forward, that we are doing the right things in some ways. So. And your term on Lexington City Council expires at the end of 2014. Okay. I haven't counted, but thank you for your math. That's great.
But looking forward, what kind of goals do you hope to accomplish until the end of your term?
My main goal as a council person is to listen to everyone, is to any issue that comes up. I want to hear from both sides, and I want to hear from people that I'll say that you meet and say, oh, is that happening? Is that going on? Oh, I didn't know that. I want to hear their opinions, because my vote is based on their opinions and representing over 3,400 registered voters. My focus for the next years will be always try to be a mediator, always try to negotiate and look for the way to best represent what serves the city, not just a small faction, and not someone who could hysterically upset me on an email. that's going to happen. So my focus is to listen to my neighbors.
And how confident are you with the new council being seated this winter that you'll be able to accomplish these goals and best serve Lexington?
You mean the new council that's
Correct.
coming on?
Correct.
That you know, I don't even know who's going to get in. I know of 2 people that are running, and I've had a conversation with a third person who's interested in running. If indeed Camille Miller and John Mormon get on council, it's going to be a real interesting mix because they have such incredible talents in different areas that the people on council don't have. So I'm excited about working with them if they are the ones that get on. I think that the basic idea of this council is we are all in the same city. It's not that big. I can walk to everyone's house. And each one of us cares about our neighborhood, our street, our neighbors. So we all have the same focus on protecting our city, taking care of our city, taking care of our citizens.
Councilwoman Mary Harvey-Helseth, thanks for the time.
Thank you, Alex.
That's all the time we have tonight for the on-record portion of the Rock Ridge Report. I'm Alex Maragos, and we'll see you next week.